الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيبي وحبيب إله العالمين، رب القلوب ودوائها وعافية الأبدان وشفائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها، أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا صلى الله عليك يا سيدي يا مظلوم يا شان كربلاء. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا غريب كربلاء. يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز فوزا عظيما. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر الأهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا، ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد. قال الله العلي العظيم في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعاديات ضبحا فالموريات قدحا فالمغيرات صبحا فأثرن به نقعا فوسطن به جمعا. إن الإنسان لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد. أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Tonight, I want us to discuss some of the many questions that comes during the month of Muharram. That we hear a lot of people ask these questions. And one of those many questions that we hear during the month of Muharram is that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, there is no doubt that he's shaheed. And shuhada, they're all in Jannah. He is happy in that world. And Quran says, فَرِحِينَ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ. Allah said they're happy in barzakh with all the blessings that Allah has already given to them. If a shaheed is happy in barzakh, why are we here crying? Why are we mourning? As a matter of fact, some of them think we're supposed to celebrate and be happy, because it doesn't make any sense when somebody is in barzakh happy, which Quran says, and we are here beating our chest, crying for somebody who's happy. What is the point? And let's assume that yes, we should cry, we have to cry. But why all these years? If I lost my dad, I'll cry the first year, the first day he died. I cry the day, the second day, the third day. I might cry a week, I might cry a month, but I'm not going to cry for the rest of my life. Why is it that for Hussein? Every year, when Muharram comes, we sit down, we cry and mourn as if it happened last night. What is the significance of this cry? What do we get in that crying when we cry for Imam Hussein and Shuhada of Karbala? What is it that we benefit from? What is the significance of crying? That is the answer that we want to talk tonight. The importance of tears in Islam. These tears that you see, they have a very, very important value in Islam. But before we proceed to talk about the tears that we share in the month of Muharram, let me tell you that Allah created human being by nature. It is our nature as a human being. Whenever you lose somebody dear, you shed tears. You look in the Christians, when they lose somebody, they cry. You look among the Jews, when they lose somebody important, they cry. You look among the atheists, they don't believe in barzakh, they don't believe in Allah. But when somebody dear passed, they cry, they mourn. Which means, crying has nothing to do with the religion. It's part of human being nature. That when we lose somebody so dear, we cry for that loss. We cry for that life. That is human being nature. That is number one. So it is our nature as a human being that whenever we lose somebody, we cry. And that is the first cry in our life as humans. Cry number two. It is our nature as a human being, when someone got something he or she is not even expecting, sometimes for the sake of the joy, you shed tears for that happiness. And it's called tears of joy. Something I wasn't expecting. Or something that I was expecting, but I wasn't sure if it's going to happen or not. And I'm hoping that it will happen, and suddenly it happens. I'm so happy it happens, and I shed tears for the fact that those things happen. That is called tears of joy. Human beings cry when they found something happy. That is number two. Number three, which is now we come into Islam. That in Islam also encourages us when we lost someone dear. Islam encourages us to cry. And I'm going to start from the beginning of the history and come down to our Islam. When you go back to the history tells us Adam alayhi salam, the first human being on the earth, was the first man to cry. And Adam cried for two reasons. Reason number one, when Allah sent him out of the heaven, Adam cried for 100 years. It's not a 1 month, huh? It's not 100 days. 100 years, Adam was crying for Allah taking that blessing away from him. Because you remember in the Quran, the life that Adam had in the heaven and the life that he had after he was sent out of the heaven was completely different. Adam was in the heaven, everything that he wished, Allah used to give him. And Allah told him in the Quran, وَإِنَّ لَكَ أَلَّا تَذْمَعُ فِيهَا وَلَا تَعْرَى. Enter the heaven, and you will never get thirsty. And you will never expose your body. Allah put him in the heaven, and everything he wanted, he got. Until the day Adam alayhi salam disobeyed Allah, then Allah took everything from him. And Adam cried for that loss for 100 years. After Adam came on the earth and he started to live, he lost his son. Qabil killed Habil. After Adam alayhi salam found that he lost his son, Habil, the narrator said Adam cried for 40 years for the loss of his son. And Adam alayhi salam, his son Habil, was not an imam. But because he was killed, Adam alayhi salam cried for 40 years, which is in combined 140 years Adam shed tears. Some narrators said it got to the point when you look at the face of Adam, there are 2 lines on his face for the tears that he shed for all those years. That was Adam alayhi salam. Now put him aside. You come to the next prophet, which is known as Nuh alayhi salam. Prophet Nuh, some narrators say he's called Nuh because of his crying. When we say Nuh, Nuh is from the word Nuh. Because Nuh alayhi salam, part of his nature, part of his personality, he always cried. And that is why he's called Nuh. And he was one of the prophets of Ulul Azm. And they say Nuh alayhi salam, all his life, there was never a night Nuh alayhi salam goes to bed without crying for his people. And you know how many years Nuh alayhi salam lived? And they say all those years he was shedding tears for his people. That is number 2. Prophet number 3, which is in the Quran, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam. Yaqub alayhi salam, he didn't lose his son. His son was alive, but he was just taken away from him. But Yaqub alayhi salam cries so much. Some narration mentioned 40 years he cried for Yusuf alayhi salam. It got to the point, his own children, when they saw him, they said, Wallahi tafta'u tadhkur Yusuf hatta takuna haradan aw takuna min al-halikin. You're going to continue mentioning Yusuf till you lost your life. How long are you going to cry for Yusuf? How many years do you want to cry for your son? Right? Not only that, then Quran goes to tell you, not only he didn't stop there, even though his children were criticizing him, Quran says he cried until the point he lost his eyes. And this is one of the Anbiya of Allah, the Prophet. Right? And the Quran talks about him. That is Prophet number 3. Prophet number 4, Yusuf himself was one of the crying prophets. They say when Yusuf was put in the prison, Yusuf will cry during the day and during the night. It got to the point, the prisoners told Yusuf alayhi salam, Ya Yusuf, you cry so much. We cannot sleep during the day, we cannot sleep during the night. Can you pick one time that you cry so we can pick one time to sleep? What is the time? Yusuf alayhi salam said, okay, I want to cry. But I will pick the time that is good for you. They say, Ya Yusuf, we would like to sleep at night. So if you can pick during the daytime, you can cry as much as you can, but leave us the night so that we can sleep. Yusuf alayhi salam picked during the daytime where he cried so much all night. And why was he crying? From that separation from his father. The father was still alive. Yaqub was alive. Yusuf was alive. But because of that separation, they all cried because of that separation. And how long? For 40 years. Then Allah united them again one more time. That is between Yusuf and Yaqub. You come after Yusuf alayhi salam. There was also Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. Dawood was known as one of the prophet who always cried as well. Dawood al-Nabi, they said, Dawood alayhi salam, he used to have a specific room for prayer. When he get to that room, he makes sure that all the doors and windows are locked. And he sit there by himself and he will pray and praise Allah. And after that, he will cry so much in that room by himself, as part of his service and his ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That was Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. Not only that, you come after Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. There are so many prophets until you get to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Now, somebody can say, all those prophets, they are not our prophet, but is there any proof that our prophet, he did cry or not? Yes. When the first person to cry on the deceased was our prophet. Where? When the prophet lost his son, and you can find this in all the history books. When the prophet lost his son Qasim, the prophet went to the grave. As he was burying his son, and he said these three sentences. He says, Tadmu'ul ayn. Allahu Akbar. The eyes are causing tears. The prophet was crying. Tadmu'ul ayn. My eyes are tearing. وَيَحْزَنُ الْقَلْبِ. And my heart is filled of grief. وَلَا نَقُولُ مَا يُسْخِطُ اللَّهِ. But we are not going to say anything to displease Allah. That was his son. And he wasn't shaheed. He died natural death. But Rasulullah went to the grave and he cried for losing his son. That is one. Another son of the Prophet also, Ibrahim. When he died, the same thing. And even in the second son, the Prophet even added, where he says, وَإِنَّ لَفِي إِبْنِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لَمَحْزُونُونَ. Tadmu'ul ayn, my eyes are tearing. I'm crying for the loss of losing my son. My heart are filled with the grief. And indeed, I'm sad for the losing of my son Ibrahim. That is another prophet. And the same old prophet. Number three, our prophet, before all of this happened, the prophet was in Mecca, the year Abu Talib, and the year Khadija they died. What did the prophet call that year? Amul Huzn, the year of grief. Not just one day, not 2 weeks. No, the entire year is called Amul Huzn, where the prophet told every companion to mourn and cry for those two individuals. And bear in mind, Abu Talib was not shaheed. Khadija was not shaheeda. They were said and died natural death. But even with all of that, the Prophet announced the entire year to be Amul Huzn, the year of grief. And you know, in the narration, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, when he went to bury Abu Talib, the Prophet was crying. And he was calling him, Abi, my father. And he was crying. Not only that, Fatima, the mother of Imam Ali, when she died, the Prophet also, look at the history, brothers and sisters. When Fatima passed away, the mother of Imam Ali, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi cried so much that day. And not only he cried, and he said, Innaha ummi. He said, that woman, Fatima, is my mother. Not only she's my mother, and he goes to explain, he said, إِنَّهَا كَانَتْ تُجِيعُ أَطْفَالَهَا وَتُطْعِمُنِ. She used to keep her own children hungry, and she used to feed me. وَكَانَتْ تُمَشِّطُ شَعْرِي. She used to comb my hair. When she's not, and she doesn't comb her children's hair. That was the Prophet. And when they took Fatima to the grave, the Prophet said to everybody, wait. The Prophet went and slept in that grave first. Said, I want to feel how the grave is comfortable for her first. Then he came out, and then the Prophet was part of those. Some narration said, he came out and read dua and went back to the grave, and he asked people to hand her to him, and he was the one who laid her body into the grave. But that day the Prophet cried so much because of losing Fatima, the mother of Muhammad. Not only that, you go to the Prophet. After the Prophet became the Prophet, after he started his mission, the Prophet went to a city called Abwa, the city where his mother was buried. And he cried on the grave of his mother for losing his mother. She was not Shaheeda, but she was the mother of the Prophet, and the Prophet cried for her for losing such a wonderful woman. That was the Prophet. That was his mother. Now somebody will say, okay, these are the Prophet's relatives. These are his children. These are his father, his uncle. These are his wife. But did any Prophet, did our Prophet cry for anybody else? Who was Shaheed? Say yes. Why? Now look in the history. After the battle of Badr and the battle of Uhud, don't check in Tariq al-Tabari. What did he say? After the battle of Uhud, when the people came back to Medina, there were women who came together and they were crying, calling the names of their deceased ones. The Prophet was listening. Will anybody call Hamza his uncle? Nobody. People will call their relatives and they cry. They will call, read Fatiha, they will call and mourn for them. But nobody called for Hamza. Then the Prophet came. And he says words. He says, Amma Ammi Hamza fala baqiya la. My uncle Hamza has nobody to cry for him. Nobody to cry for him. Nobody was quiet. Now listen to the order of the Prophet, which we said, La yantiqu anil hawa in huwa illa wahyun yuha. Then the wahy came to the Prophet. Then the Prophet says, Wa ala ammi Hamza faltabkil bawaki. For my uncle Hamza, who was Shaheed, is also known as Sayyid al-Shuhada of Uhud. The Prophet said, Ala ammi Hamza faltabkil bawaki. Whoever wants to cry should do cry for Hamza. Then the ladies and the men, they all started crying for Hamza. Now here, brothers, let's pause just 1 second. You know, when the Prophet does something like that, what does it mean? If the Prophet sat down and cried for Shaheed, like Hamza alayhi salam, and not just the Hamza, for all the Shuhada of Uhud, that the least we can take from it is that crying for Shaheed is sunnah. Because what the Prophet does automatically becomes sunnah. So if the Prophet is to sit down and cry and mourn for a Shuhada of Uhud, then automatically we learn crying for Shuhada is sunnah of the Prophet. That's the least we can. So here comes the question. If somebody asks me, why are you crying for Hussein? Then no, the question should be, why are you not crying for Hussein? Because it's a sunnah of the Prophet. The question shouldn't be, why am I, no, why you are not crying? Because if Rasulullah did cry, and that Prophet cried for Shuhada of Uhud, then automatically that becomes a sunnah of the Prophet. Now somebody will say, okay, you say about Shuhada, if Hussein was one of the Shuhada of Uhud, we would have cried for him, but he wasn't. But do you have any proof that Rasulullah cried for Hussein or not? I say, yes, we do have. What is it? Now you go to the also history. What did I say? Now this history is quoted by Salama, the wife of the Prophet. And she said, دخل علي رسول الله. The Prophet came after Salat al-Asr. And I was sitting in front of the door. Then the Prophet says, Ya Salama, I want to take nap. Ya Salama, make sure that nobody enters the room. I want to rest. Salama said, okay. The Prophet went in and he was resting. Guess who comes? Hussein comes in. Imam Hussein comes in, and Imam says he doesn't need any permission. He just walked into the room when the Prophet was asleep. Few minutes later, Salama is calling. She said, I heard a cry and moaning, and I wasn't sure what's the matter. She said, I entered and I saw Imam Hussein was sitting next to the Prophet. Then I started to feel guilty. I said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm sorry I let Hussein came in. You told me not to let anybody come in. And here Hussein came without me paying attention. I'm sorry about that, Ya Rasulullah. Then the Prophet said, I'm not crying because Hussein came in. What are you crying for, Ya Rasulullah? Then the Prophet said, Ya Salama, al-ana nazala alayya Jabra'il. Right now, Jibreel came. He is the one who woke me up. وَقَالَ لِي, and he told me, Ya Rasulullah, inna ummatak, Ya Rasulullah, your ummah, your nation, they will kill your grandson Hussein. في أرض يقال لها كربلاء, in a city called Karbala. And he brought me the sand of that land, Karbala. And he said to me, Ya Rasulullah, this is the sun. The day that the sun turns to a blood, that is a sign that the Imam Hussein is killed. Then the Prophet gave to Salama, Ya Salama, I will not live to see that day, but you will. So I want you to keep that. And the Prophet sat there and cried for Imam Hussein. And this was before the tragedy of Karbala. We crying after the tragedy happened. Now Rasulullah was crying before the tragedy. It didn't even happen. Hussein is there. He's happy. He's fine. But still, the Prophet was crying because of the tragedy that will happen on him. Put that aside. Now let me take you to another book. It's called Ma'alim al-Madrasatain. One of our great scholars, Murtada al-Askari, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, is the author of this book. In this book, Murtada al-Askari talks about some of the hadith that is known to be authentic hadith that was quoted by the Prophet and some of the prophets. Talking about crying for Imam Hussein before the tragedy took place. One of those prophets is Ibrahim. Allama al-Murtada al-Askari, in his book he mentioned. He said Ibrahim al-Khalil, one day he was riding his horse. He passed by the land of Karbala. As he was on his horse, the horse tripped and fell. There was some blood. Then Ibrahim asked Allah, Ya Rab, what's the matter? Then the answer came, Ya Ibrahim, you are in the land called Karbala. And that land is the land where my beloved prophet grandson will be killed. And I want you, Ya Rasulullah, are you the messenger, Ibrahim, to also share some blood in the same line that Imam Hussein will share the blood on the day of Ashura. That is, and so many ahadith from Ma'alim al-Madrasatain. But I don't want to go there. But let me go even down. After the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are so many people also who were known to be crying people. One of them is Zahra salamullahi alayha. You know, Fatima was known to be one of those who cry so much, especially after the death of her father Rasulullah. Some narrators said she used to cry so much to the point where people started to complain that she cried too much. So what happened to Zahra? Zahra started to go to the grave of the Prophet and spend time there crying for losing the Prophet and the tragedy that was surrounded by Ahlul Bayt. That was Sahaba alayhi salam. Not only that, when you come to our Imam Zayn al-Abidin salamullah alayhi, is one of the examples. Imam Zayn al-Abidin was known to be one of the Imams who cries so much. Anytime he opens the Quran and he reads and he gets to any surah or ayah talks about the hellfire, he bursts into tears. Anytime our Imam Zayn al-Abidin reads a dua, he always bursts into tears. When he comes and talks or reads the dua that talks about barzakh, that is our Imam. And especially after the tragedy of Karbala, they never put a food in front of him unless his tears is mixed with that food. That is Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Now I'll give you all of this side. Now let me take you to the fiqh part. Our maraja, including the ulama, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, you ask them, what is the rule of a person crying during the time of salah? What do they say? Mustahab. I'm praying in my salah. I came to read an ayah in the Quran about Jahannam, about Jannah. I hope to get into that Jannah. I started crying. They say it is mustahab to do it. Now if his crying is bad, why did the Maraja are saying it's mustahab to cry in the salah? And I've known some of you, if you listen to the Taraweeh of the A'immat al-Haram, during the Qunut, some of them do cry. They shed tears, they cry during the time of salah. Why? Because it's mustahab in Islam to cry during the time of salah. As a matter of fact, it adds a value to your salat. That is one. In the fiqh again, when a person is making dua, ask the Maraj, the scholars, what is the hukum of a person making dua and they crying? What are they going to tell you in the rule? They said it's mustahab in Islam. When you raise your hand, you read in dua and you're crying, they say it's mustahab. And not only that, listen careful. They said not just it's mustahab, it's one of the time that Allah accepts your dua. When a person is crying and making dua, that moment, the hadith we have from Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam is Allah. It's إِذَا دَمِعَتْ عَيْنَكَ فَدُونَكَ دُونَ. When you're raising your hand, Ya Allah, and at that moment you started to cry, he said that is the strongest time to ask Allah. That is the connection time. That is where your heart gets to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say it's highly recommended at that time to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is our fuqaha.